Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to make objects break with the triggers. First, what you're going to want to do is, well, in this one I'm going to make a loop. So for the sake of time I'll just cut to a pre-made. So I don't really call it a loop, but you go back on yourself. They say I will show it now. That works, you go up, but now that's in the way, so you come down, you're going to hit that. So what you're going to want to do is press up on the D-pad, go across to your triggers and events, area trigger, line it up, put it on the driving line with the right analog stick, press up to go into object properties. I would put the shape on square, it's just personal preference. Make the size a bit bigger. And what that does is that's your hit radius. So whenever you drive through that, that's gonna activate. So you put that there, and now this is what's changed from Trials HD. You have the events. So what you're gonna want to do is find the break event or whatever applies to what you want to do. Put your break event down. And then what you're going to want to do now is link. Press A on your, select your break event. Press up on your D-pad to get the properties. And then select event targets. And what that does is you select what you want to break when you hit the trigger. So for instance, I want this to break, and now you see the blue lines connecting to that. So you press B to go back and go out of that, and now do the same on your trigger. Press A to select it, and press up on the D-pad to get the properties. And now it says on hit, which means whenever you hit that target, it'll select what happens. So now you select your break object, and now press B to go out of that, and now we'll test it to see if it works. Hang on, let's change my bike. See, now you see it breaks, so now you can go down. So to recap, you place your trigger and then link your trigger to your events, and then whenever you've pressed your event, press up on your event to get the properties, select event targets, and then choose whatever you want to break. So whenever you hit your trigger, it'll send a pulse to that, which will then do whatever the event is designed to do. So now I'll just show you a few other things that you can do with the triggers. For instance, you can make your glass break, and all that is same again, trigger connected to another break event, which is then linked to your glass. So whenever you hit this trigger, that's gonna activate that event, which will then break the glass. So for instance, say you want the glass to break as you're about to hit it, you'll place the trigger closer. You have to make sure it's on your driving line though. So whenever you hit it, it's going to activate it. You see? Now here's another thing. You can have like lights. And the way that is, that's instead of having your break event, what you're gonna have instead is your light event, effect event, because that activates all of your effect, everything in here. That trigger is going to activate. So what all that is hold on, let me move the barrel. There are fireworks there. So whenever you're hitting this trigger, which is then hitting this event filter, which is then connected to your fireworks. So every time you hit that, the fireworks are going off. I'll show you again. See? and then see, so it can be whatever space. Now here's another way you can have it. The way you can make the road destroy as you go over it, and it's just essentially the same concept, only duplicated a few times. So you have your pallet, and then your brake, and then your trigger. So whenever you hit this trigger, it's activating that, which is then destroying your pallet. But you need to make sure you have your trigger away from that, like after that. So whenever you're hitting that, whenever you're hitting your trigger, you don't want to be on the pallet anymore, or you'll fall. Like for instance, I'll show you here. If we move this trigger forward, and we put it say on the pallet, whenever we hit that trigger now, it's going to break when we're on it because it's too close. So that's really it. If you have any questions, be sure to ask in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And now I'll place a few clips at the end to show you what all can be done with triggers.